Hi everybody, welcome back after consolidation week and our Christmas and New Year break. I hope you all had a lovely time with your families and are now ready to get back into the second half of our unit Discovering Literacy. I thought I'd take this opportunity to just talk to you briefly about some feedback I have for you from assignment 1A, which I think may help you with completing assignment 1B, as they're very similar. Um, so the first thing I noticed was that a lot of you didn't align your different parts of the assignment 1A particularly well. So, for example, you identify your need. Well, in this case, for assignment 1B, it will be a writing need for either Harper or Madison. And then you need to choose your strategy. So for assignment 1B, it will be a writing strategy. But this strategy needs to align with the need. So then you will need to develop a learning activity, which also needs to align to the need and the strategy that you've chosen. And finally, in part 2, you need to select an assessment instrument that also aligns with the need, the strategy, and the learning activity that you have selected. So it all has to line up. I noticed that in 1A, quite a few of you had identified needs, had identified strategies, had identified assessments, and talked about learning activities, but they didn't necessarily match up. So what we're looking for is for you to make sure that whatever you decide to choose in terms of the need for each student, that you then align everything else with that. Now remember, the needs have already been identified for you. You'll find them in the Padlet, which is in our assignment 1B question and answer on the discussion board. So make sure you go there, have a look at uh, the information Juliana has put on there. Also make sure you watch the Flip Collaborate video, because Juliana goes into a great deal of detail there about the needs that have been identified and all sorts of other information that's going to help you. So there's my first hint for assignment 1B. Make sure that you align everything. Remember that information about the writing strategies is in chapter 19 of our e-text, and you'll find lots of information about assessment strategies in chapter 21. This leads me to the learning activity. And what I found with assignment 1A was that many of you weren't explicit enough with your description of the learning activity that you had picked. We want this to be almost like a little mini lesson plan, but this lesson needs to align with the need and to the strategy that you've chosen. So an example might be that one of the needs for Harper is punctuation. So you might decide that you're going to focus on punctuation, and remember, you only need to do one need per student. So you might decide that you're going to focus on punctuation with Harper. Harper missed out a few capital letters and full stops, so maybe you want to be looking at some sort of activity that focuses on capital letters and full stops for sentences. Remembering that you need to include ICT in this assignment. So this perhaps makes it a little bit easier to be a bit more explicit. I'm thinking that maybe a writing strategy you could use for explicitly teaching capital letters and full stops would be a shared writing experience. And I had a look on in the Australian curriculum, and in the year 1 descriptors, I think it was descriptor 1449, it talked about punctuation. There was a link there that took me to Scootle. In Scootle I found a little BBC interactive game that involved putting in punctuation in sentences. So my shared writing activity to improve Harper's punctuation might be something along the lines of having this little interactive game up on the interactive whiteboard, and as a whole class we can complete the punctuation in these little sentences. It's as simple as that. We don't want a full-blown lesson plan, but we do want you to be quite explicit about the resources and tools that you're going to use. Remember, choosing your ICT, make sure that you are using it in a purposeful way. So don't just throw it in for the sake of it. We're looking for it to link explicitly with the need that you have identified. That leads me to the next thing that I noticed. Please make use of our eText, Fellows and Oakley. All of our learning materials are based around this eText. The whole structure of the unit is based around it. So, of course, the assignments are based around it. All the information that you need is in the eText. If you're not referring to the eText in your assignment, it's an indication to us that you aren't engaging with the unit at all. So please, you should be referring to the eText constantly in your assignment. Remember also that we are looking for you to use other references as well to show evidence of wider reading. So you will get obviously a higher mark if you have shown evidence of further research, but it is essential that you use the eText. We are looking for you to probably make at least one reference per paragraph in your assignments, so to keep that in mind also when you're planning this assignment. Next thing is make links to the Australian curriculum or to your state's curriculum documents. If you look in the rubric, it does say in the pass descriptors that you must use policy and curriculum documents. So many of you in the assignment 1A actually missed out on making any links at all to the Australian curriculum or any other curriculum documents. Now you might be linking specifically to the writing needs of the student, or you might also be making links to the ICT aspect of this assignment, which you can find in the general capabilities part of the Australian curriculum. So we will be looking for you to be making direct links, especially perhaps in the learning experience part of your assignment. Show how that learning experience explicitly links to the Australian curriculum, but also to the need that we've identified for that student. And also, just another reminder to make sure that you are including that ICT aspect in this assignment. There's so much out there, and it can be as simple as, making use of iPads in some way for publishing perhaps, or finding little interactive games, as I've given an example. But there are lots of ways that you can incorporate ICT. The video in our learning module gave you some examples. So have a look out there. There's lots to do. Make use of Scootle because it links directly to the Australian curriculum, and see what you can find. I'm really looking forward to chatting with you all on the discussion board. So good luck with assignment 1B, and yes, we'll see you on the discussion board.